Okay. Hello, everybody. This is my final presentation for RCA. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about technology in the classroom. So we're going to talk about the research, how technology enhances learning, and we're going to talk about how we use technology in the classroom. And then finally, I'm going to share some of my personal favorite technology resources for like practical applications into the classroom. So how can technology enhance learning? Well, through my research for my paper and for this presentation, I found it can enhance learning in a multitude of ways. So first, it improves accessibility. It provides the opportunity for remote learning. So like during the pandemic, or there's a lot of kids who still do, virtual online class from home these days. Kids with disabilities, if they can't do an activity or perform a task in real life, there may be a way for them to do it virtually in a simulation, and I think that's wonderful. Technology can really enhance personalization for each student. It is easier to cater to individual students' needs. It makes differentiation a lot easier in a multitude of ways. Like, we've talked about changing the reading levels of a text, stuff like that. It also improves the way that you can give feedback. You have every student's work in a database. It is a lot easier to give feedback, and it's just a lot more comprehensive, I think. Technology makes it a lot easier for students and teachers to collaborate. There are many collaborative tools such as discussion boards. We'll talk a little bit more about those later. A lot more interaction. It's a lot easier to be interactive when you're using technology. That increases engagement in there, makes it easier to have discussions, again, simulations, virtual labs, stuff like that. If for whatever reason you can't have the physical dissection tools or something in your classroom, there's more than likely a simulation of that exact dissection that you can have your students do on the computer, so they can still have that experience even if you don't have the resources to do it in real life. And finally, technology can actually improve retention. So gamification of learning, of lessons, is becoming really popular in now that technology is rising. Things like Kahoot, other study tools, turns the learning into a game. And that can actually improve retention and certainly increase engagement. More interaction, more immersion. That also helps with retention. Just gets kids excited. So how can we use technology in the classroom? Many ways. There are collaborative tools like we talked about, virtual labs and simulations. It's a lot easier to convert your lessons, whatever format it may be, whether it's a lecture or more experiential learning. Very easy to convert that into multimedia. Use videos, use pictures, diagrams, stuff like that. And that's always good for, everybody learns differently. It's good to have multiple representations of what you're teaching up there so that students can see all of it. Excuse me. There are lots of databases for resources and references if you're having your students study or make a research paper, stuff like that. We'll talk more about those in a little bit too. And of course, everybody's favorite or least favorite, artificial intelligence. So some of my favorite resources, we're going to go down the line. First, we have collaborative tools. So first, there's Padlet. You can post discussion boards where students can add their thoughts. Makes it very easy to have like a virtual discussion. Google services, anything that you can think of that's like on Drive. We have docs, sheets, slides, everything. students can collab with each other. They can share the document and collaboratively make a presentation or a paper together very easily with Google stuff, and that's really cool. Jamboard is very similar to Padlet. That's also a Google thing. And then finally, something that I found was smart technologies. Might be not feasible for every classroom, but it's a giant board that you can see in this picture right here. That students can go up to and draw on. You can display videos, pictures, everything. It's just like a super interactive thing. I bet the students would think it's very cool too. So yeah, I kind of like that. I added a Padlet for this lesson that we can come back to later, but I will be posting the slides, and there's also a QR code, so you can either click on the link in the slides or use the QR code and try it out for yourself. Use the Padlet. Join a discussion. For simulations, PhET, which is actually a product of CU Boulder, so it's right here in Colorado. Great for like STEM simulations of any kind. I've used it even in college. They have dissections, they have physics simulations, they have, chemistry labs simulations, stuff like that. There's also IXL, where students can do quizzes and stuff. They can do the actual learning in IXL, and they can also do simulations of labs and stuff within IXL. For scholarly databases, we have, of course, Google Scholar. You use it the same as you would any other search engine. Type in what you want a scholarly article on, and it'll only give you academic resources instead of, tabloids, stuff like that. JSTOR, I think this is mostly for English and history. This is more like literary stuff. But I had personally used this when I was in high school. It was a very good database of, whatever you need. You can filter, you can search, stuff like that. PubMed is basically that, but for scientific articles. You can find primary sources of, primary research articles, stuff like that. So very good, very easy user interface, good for students. And then finally, AI. It's a controversial topic, but I think that when it's used correctly, AI can be one of the best resources out there for students and for teachers. So of course we have ChatGPT first. I love the way that we use ChatGPT in this class, by having it do a peer review for us. I think that was great. Stuff like that, having it create practice quizzes, practice problems. It's a wonderful study tool. And something that I use even currently in college is Gizmo AI. With Gizmo, you can upload your class content, whether it's lecture slides, whether it's a worksheet, stuff like that. You can upload it to Gizmo, and it will read that and turn it into flashcards for studying for you. And I think that is so useful. That's not something you might use in the class, but it's something you could definitely promote to students. Use Gizmo AI to help you study. It's so helpful. And tons of the resources that I mentioned before also use AI to enhance the experiences. For example, the databases where you can find scholarly articles. Some of those include AI like research helpers or readers that can help you find the information that you're looking for within the text without you having to read the entire thing. Things like Padlet, when you're creating a Padlet discussion board, it will provide sentence starters, stuff like that for the students and for the teachers to help you, stuff like that. Kahoot also uses AI to create its games, everything. So when it's used correctly, when it's not used to just write the essay for you or to cheat your way through a test, AI can be such a fantastic resource. All right, and that's the end of my presentation. I have a discussion starter. And here's the QR code for the Padlet again, kind of related to this discussion starter, so you can interact with it yourself. You can do the Padlet and see what's up. All right. Thank you. It's been real. Have a good rest of your guys' summer.